assessment. So all these idiot prosecutors, writing, the attorney general must resign. No, the attorney general, that's called doing his job. And all credit to him. We have a Sixth Amendment to our Constitution. It guarantees an impartial jury, or so we expect. And when the jury foreperson, now exposed as having spoken out and being prejudiced about this case itself, it screams injustice in this country. We better get to the bottom of it. I had a totally different show. I didn't expect it. Just ironically, the president is speaking before, I guess, prison reform or something group out in Vegas, I guess. I tell you, last night was pure gold. I never saw a bigger shift show. And we've got all the highlights. I got to get to all of it here. We have other news. This is fascinating, and we'll play some of the highlights of last night. Bloomberg, just a disaster. Just an unmitigated collapse. And with all the debate time, oh, my God. I mean, did anyone know what they were doing? Did they not anticipate any of this? And good news for the president today. Gallup, president's now 49-48, the first time he's been above water with Gallup since he was sworn in. By the way, 8 years ago, this same date, Obama's job approval rating 45-48. That is really incredible. You got more Democratic chaos, debate fiasco, more montages we're going to get to. Unbelievable, an unbelievable set of circumstances last night that you can't even begin to describe. But I'll hit it next, I promise, and all the other news of the day. And David Schoen was in the courtroom today as well. He'll join us. $2,316. According to the FBI, that is the average dollar loss from one single break-in. Now, it can derail you financially, and I have advice. Protect your home and family with Simply Safe. Now, they are my go-to guys for home security. They are the masters of protection. Now, Simply Safe, the place to go. They will protect every door, every window, every room, 24/7 professional monitoring. They make it simple and easy on you. No contract to sign, no hidden fees, no fine print. Plus, you'll set up the system by yourself. Anybody can do it. There's no trade-offs to your safety. It has won the top awards, CNET Magazine, PC Magazine, The Verge. Now, prices are always fair, and they're always honest. Around the clock, professional monitoring, no contract, $15 a month. By the way, that's 3 times less than other big companies. $15 a month. SimplySafeHannity.com. Go there today. You'll get a free Simply Safe HD security camera, normally $100. Protect your home, protect your family. SimplySafeHannity.com. All right, glad you're with us. Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. What a shift show last night. You want to talk about Farmer Mike. Wow, what an epic fail. I mean, I think one of the more spectacular revelations came at the end of the debate last night. Well, if one person doesn't have enough delegates based on the rules, based on the voting, should it be an open, floor convention? In other words, a real shift show. And the answer, of course. No, why let the people decide? Why wouldn't it be the majority of people? You want to talk? This is how statists work. This is how bureaucrats work. They're now aligning all of them against Bernie Sanders. Now, in fairness, Bernie Sanders didn't support that system in 2016, so this is convenience politically for him, but it's neither here nor there. If you get the most delegates, why don't you win? As they try to bring back the superdelegates. I mean, they're just setting the whole thing up to be a disaster when the convention comes about. And I don't know if Bernie supporters are going to take this lightly this time. It seemed that I was one of the few that kept saying, you can't allow an election to be rigged in America. And I like a sole voice here standing up for Bernie and his supporters. How do you not want the people to decide? I look at Bloomberg, and this, you cannot buy, a personality, because if you could, he'd be the most dynamic person on earth. I mean, with all this money spent in this slick marketing campaign, he got the living crap beat out of him. I mean, it was a brutal beatdown on pretty much everything. I mean, even if you look last night, Bloomberg had to admit today that the big winner of last night's debate was Donald Trump.
So how was your night last night? Look, the real winner in the debate last night was Donald Trump. Because I worry that we may very well be on the way to nominating somebody who cannot win in November. And if we choose a candidate who appeals to a small base like Senator Sanders, it will be a fatal error. We need Democrats and independents and Republicans to win.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. But he's not going to be the guy. I don't care how much money you spent. I've never seen a debate performance. I mean, mumbling and bumbling and just so ill prepared. It was almost shocking. How did you not anticipate all of these questions? This was fundamental stuff here that they brought up, and he had no answers to any of it, which was amazing. I mean, every liberal pundit is pounding him. Every other campaign is pounding him. Politico admitting that Bloomberg's debate prep was a monumental failure. That's probably an understatement. You got the liberal Daily Beast. Bloomberg got his ass kicked. You got Van Jones comparing Bloomberg's debate performance to the Titanic.
Gloria Borger, what's the big headline?
Bloomberg was awful. I'm sorry. This was the moment that the DNC got criticized for letting Bloomberg in this debate. And now I'm wondering why the other candidates were criticizing him, because he wasn't practiced at debating. He's not done this in more than a decade.
Listen, this was a disaster for Bloomberg. Bloomberg went in as the Titanic, billion-dollar machine Titanic. Titanic, meet iceberg Elizabeth Warren. She took him to task in a way that I've never seen in a debate. She took it over. She prosecuted him. But the worst part about it is, for me, a lot of African Americans are placing great hope in Bloomberg. Despite the stop and frisk and all that sort of stuff, you're seeing people trying to move over there. And he just wasn't ready. He was tone deaf on issue after issue.
You could see it on his face. Even when Warren was hitting him, he was watching the fist hit his face.
I mean, you just can't even, it's stunning. It's breathtaking. I don't even have the adjectives to use to describe how bad this was. It was funny. Chris Matthews, says Bloomberg was like a prize fighter who couldn't stop bleeding and didn't have a cut man, which was fascinating. You look at the headlines today. The New York Post, Bloomberg's campaign implodes on stage in this Nevada Democratic debate. Warren torches Bloomberg on Me Too and secret settlements. CNBC, Bloomberg takes a beating from Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. That's their words. Washington Examiner, Bloomberg in debate, billions of dollars and zero vision. Mini Mike, Free Beacon, billionaire beatdown. Mini Mike savage by Democratic rivals in Nevada. Bloomberg is now the highest spending presidential candidate of all time. I mean, just go on. Let me just play some of the highlights, and I'll tell you the other thing that Bloomberg had. I mean, it was a problem for whatever reason Mitt Romney had. It's like everybody up there on stage hates success. Why is this a hard question to answer about one being successful? Is that a bad criteria, a bad thing? In the minds of, I guess, people like every socialist on that stage last night, the idea that you're successful makes you a bad person. No, because I can speak from my own life, paying for, everything since I pretty much have been financially independent since I'm 10. My parents, I got no money for anything. I didn't need it. Delivering papers at 8, washing dishes at 12, cook, short order cook, bartender, waiter, busboy, painting contractor, wallpaper hanger, reconstruction, roofing, framing, all of it. That's 20 years of my life. And the college I paid for, all out of my own money. Paid for every penny myself. And yet, okay, well, I'm successful now. I'm not ashamed of that, but I can tell you this, whether I was working in a restaurant or working in somebody's house, I never once got hired by a poor person. Never once. And he's like, well, yeah, I give all my money away, and, I'm successful. Well, do we want unsuccessful people up there or bureaucrats that have only known, the public dole in terms of their jobs, and they have nothing else to offer but they're lifelong bureaucrats that gain and accumulate power by basically legalizing wealth transformation or transferring of wealth and stealing, legalizing stealing of, large portions of people's wealth to create dependency so they gain power with other people's money. That's a lot of what they want to do. We're not even talking about the new Green Deal, Medicare for all, Bloomberg on guns and the environment, radical extreme left wingers here. But I'm watching an implosion like I'd never seen or witnessed before. There's no recovering from this. Now, he's going to stay in. I mean, even former skeptics now are warning of a brokered convention, and the only one that wants the people to make the decision is Bernie, but that's for political expediency. That speaks volume about the Democratic Party. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a worse performance in a debate in my life, and I don't care how much money he's going to spend prepping for the next debate, because there's no answer to a lot of this. Listen to some of the highlights of his beatdown.
Mr. Bloomberg had policies in New York City of stop and frisk, which went after African-American and Latino people in an outrageous way. That is not a way you're going to grow voter turnout.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg. Democrats are not going to win if we have a nominee who has a history of hiding his tax returns, of harassing women, and of supporting racist policies like redlining and stop and frisk. Look, I'll support whoever the Democratic nominee is, but understand this. Democrats take a huge risk if we just substitute one arrogant billionaire for another.
I have been told as a woman, as someone that maybe no one thought was still going to be standing up on this stage, but I am because of pure grit and because of the people out there. I've been told many times to wait my turn and to step aside. And I'm not going to do that now, and I'm not going to do that because a campaign memo from Mayor Bloomberg said this morning that the only way that we get a nominee is if we step aside for him. I think we need something different than Donald Trump. I don't think you look at Donald Trump and say we need someone richer in the White House.
The mayor says that he has a great record, that he's done these wonderful things. Well, the fact of the matter is he has not managed his city very, very well when he was there. He didn't get a whole lot done. He had stop and frisk, throwing close to 5 million young black men up against the wall. And when we came along in our administration, the President Obama, and said we're going to send in a moderator a mediator to stop it, he said that's unnecessary. So we're going to get a chance to talk about the mayor's record. But in terms of who is best prepared to beat Donald Trump, look at your poll and what it says.
Mayor Buttigieg, you'd like to weigh in?
Yes, we've got to wake up as a party. We could wake up 2 weeks from today, the day after Super Tuesday, and the only candidates left standing will be Bernie Sanders and Mike Bloomberg, the two most polarizing figures on this stage. And most Americans don't see where they fit if they've got to choose between a socialist who thinks that capitalism is the root of all evil and a billionaire who thinks that money ought to be the root of all power.
But they all support this new Green Deal madness, Medicare for all, doubling down on the stupidity and false promises of Obamacare. One irony here, the only one on the stage that says Democratic voters and whoever has the most votes and delegates ought to decide who's the nominee. Yeah, well, you got people like Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren and Buttigieg. Well, they want to get rid of the Electoral College. So, I mean, they're so hypocritical. It's all convenience for them. It was a shift show of a monumental proportion. Now, entertaining as hell, I'm not going to lie. And Bloomberg embarrassed by stop and frisk. Okay, 17 years have passed. 17. He supported it 12 years as mayor. He supported it 5 years since Comrade de Blasio has been in there. Now I'm so sorry. It's supported. No, he runs for president. I need to get African-American voters. So isn't that what we hate? Pandering politicians that are just playing a game with all of us. That is the opposite of Trump. Never mind, you dig a hole, you put a seed in it, some dirt on top, and you add water, and up comes the corn. Wow. Talk about ignorance and being out of touch, or, the thought process behind all of the stop and frisk policies. Murder victims fit one MO. You take a description, you Xerox it, you pass it out to all cops, all male, minority, 16 to 25. Well, people say,